Hey guys, we're back. We are waiting to find out what's going on with the next match still. I'm actually just responding to a kind of important email right now, so I'm just going to be useless for a second.
Useless.
Yeah.
Well, INnoVation should be talking to Hurricane because I assume he knows which barcode Hurricane is.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, is Hurricane on a barcode or not? Start typing and talking. Because I didn't see his name on the list.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
there's
wait.
4 barcodes.
There he is. He actually just popped, so maybe he was just in a game.
Ah. Patience. Oh, I still don't see him. Ah, there he is. Cool. Well, as always, got a lot of people asking us to cast Scarlet, and I mean, we might get around to it, but the goal's kind of gonna be to find the Terrans and see what they do, as they all got bopped before the finals. So 2 Zergs, 2 Protoss so far qualified, one Terran invited. I think only Bjorn is invited.
Yeah, Beyond's the only Terran is Beyond, Dark, Zest, and Stats.
Yeah,
And then 2 Zerg and 2 Protoss qualified yesterday.
correct.
But I messaged Hurricane as I tab back in, so he said okay we can cast, and if you got INnoVation, we should one of the two should be inviting us, which would be great. Next up. Now keep in mind, guys, at any point during the broadcast, we're totally able to have our matches quote unquote stolen by the mainstream. So if the ESL stream decides to cast this, we'll have to go find another one. I hope that won't be the case, but
Yeah, I think they're going to be getting. I mean, INnoVation's a pretty big name. I actually followed him yesterday, but there's a ton of other big names.
yeah. Actually, this is where you guys need to like take all that cast scarletness and go toss it to the ESL stream.
Yeah, go ask them to do it.
We don't have nearly as many community casters today, but there's still a ton on this list, so that's kind of cool to see.
Guess we're missing. Oh, we don't? Got the 2 Koreans, the 2 Russians, 1 Polish.
Yeah, shout out to Crank and Pals. For those who don't know, casting in Korean, but has been casting consistently things like Home Story Cup and everything. Yeah, so both players are responsive in here and hopefully doing videos, and we should not be waiting too long. Alright, cool. So Naruto wants in, so you have some German coverage too, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's take a while to do vetoes. No other results really on the bracket quite yet. Nothing of super important talking points.
No.
Oh man, yesterday I was walking down the street because I think I just heard another one, and there was an ambulance. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen an ambulance in Korea.
How on earth they navigate those
Crazy.
streets, though, man?
By honking a lot. They were pretty slow, but I guess it's still worth getting the stretcher in the van.
Korean streets are straight up scary, guys. Like legit horrifying to walk down the streets of Korea.
Not that bad.
And even scarier to be in the passenger seat of a taxi. We almost killed some kids, guys. Okay, like you don't understand. Our taxi driver just like, rather than slow down, honking his horn at an intersection with like 5-year-olds crossing, instead honked his horn and floored it. He like sped up for the kids. Okay, like bonus points if you hit them.
Yeah, it was. I see a lot of people walking around with only 1 foot in a boot, and I'm like, I wonder if that's because they all get their like 1 foot run over, you know? Because it is a bit like if you're like listening to your iPod or you're talking to your friends or something like that, then iPod, wow, I'm so old. Then like yeah, you're gonna maybe get your foot run over either by an actual car or the delivery what are those things called? Motorcycles, but not like nearly as cool as an actual motorcycle. Yeah, those guys also do not give a fuck.
It's almost like scooters, or I don't know what you want to call
Yeah,
them.
scooter. There you go.
All right, we're in the lobby for INnoVation versus Hurricane on Daybreak for map number 1.
Cool.
Of course, just a reminder for everybody tuning in, there is a 3-minute delay. So you hear us talking about a lot of stuff, but you're not going to actually see it till later. Your best bets are keeping track of the actual brackets themselves. Exclamation mark brackets, and chat will link you to the brackets, and you can check those things out. Of course, don't forget about our giveaway we're currently doing with G2A as well, so make sure to check that out by typing exclamation mark giveaway in chat. But let's get into the action. Game number 1 in a brand new best of 3 here for the IEM Gyeonggi Qualifiers. Is that close?
It just sounds like you're hesitant. You're like, I'm too scared to try.
It's not that I'm scared, it's that I know it's going to be wrong.
It's really not that wrong. Like,
it's like every time I add 2 plus 2, I keep getting 5, and I don't understand.
I understand the confusion because they put double letters in there, and I don't necessarily agree with how they like make it in English, but it's kind of easy. Wow.
Take TV.
Anyways, yeah, Gyeonggi.
Well, actually, it's a little bit like I look at the word like Yigastrill or Yigastrill, or however that's pronounced as well. Like the double G's, I think are messing me up. Like it's just words with double G's look weird, man. Anyways, we are getting into the game. Top right side, we've got none other than the red Protoss contender, Hurricane.
In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, he's INnoVation.
Okay, so INnoVation, I think is still going to be our favorite. We're going to be cheering for him pretty hard. Again, Terran vs. Protoss had some interesting changes, but I really want to emphasize the one that matters, at least to me, the most, and that's the tanks. Like, Vikings landed are cool, and we can talk about that if we see it, but tanks dealing as much damage as they do. Oh, Stalkers, Sentries, no, excuse me, not Sentries, Stalkers and Immortals, and, of course, Disruptors even. Like, nothing armored can really get close to the tank line anymore. It's just going to get annihilated.
Yeah. They're pretty strong, and that makes 2-base tank pushes even stronger. Now, with the new map pool, you don't have the same Frozen Temple tank push, but it's still, like, I think worthwhile doing it, to be honest. Funnily enough, we've been seeing a lot of Terrans hold off on tanks I thought mech was going to be the way to go, for instance, versus in a TvT. Some players still not, really believe in that, so they'll go bio. TVZ is a whole other issue, as we did have a lot of that yesterday, and we saw... basically all the Terrans that just agree that tanks are not the way to go. Versus Protoss, I think that we only really got to see the highlight when we saw Marine Lord do those tank pushes. One failed, and the next 2 actually are pretty good.
Context was not what I was talking about too. We had DeMuslim and Poke Bunny and a couple of the Terrans who play significantly large amounts of games, giving their opinion in chat. Saw another hiccup there. Was that me, or was that you? Did you see that too?
I saw it.
Okay, so. Naruto, you still lagging, man? Just mention it now, because I know Naruto feels like me, where if we're the ones lagging, we're going to be the first ones to hit Alt F4.
Don't lie to us.
Showed on this screen. Just be careful. Say it with love. Of course, Naruto, Take TV, kind of our German brother from another mother, so I don't actually want him out of the game, but...
it could be anyone. I'm just playing on him because he was the...
Because he was the one whose name showed up.
Right? This is surprisingly difficult to deal with. Losing the Reaper was a problem just for scouting, but then the Adept actually getting across the map and killing Marines.
Yeah, 2 more Marines.
She's gonna die, but...
Yeah, 2 Marines can clean it up, but this is still already a nice trade for Hurricane. Gets a lot of scouting information with the Adept, and oh boy, it's still not dead yet. It's going to die, but trades out really cost effectively on its way out.
Yeah. Some important things that it saw, for instance, while also letting the other Adept do more damage. Damn, this is actually doing way more than anticipated. If it's a Mule, that'd be pretty great, but even if that one didn't do any more damage, the Oracle it's following up, again, you killed the Marines. The Widow Mine had to go place itself somewhere else.
Oh,
you knew they're building a second Widow Mine, so, no tanks to worry about quite yet. You actually would see that still, that he's probably going to get a Cyclone or the Widow Mine.
The thing about this is this is nothing patch related, right? This is all pretty standard Protoss versus Terran.
Yeah, and only one Widow Mine. That's gonna get one probe because the Oracle saw it. If it gets anything more, that's totally on Hurricane.
Yeah, the other Oracle's here to actually
totally
see
on
it
Hurricane.
and kill it. I actually really like the probe pull into it. I'm actually not 100% sure whether the Oracle would have killed it in time on its own or not, but still. Either way, ultimately it's dealt with. The medevac gets out alive, so not the end of the world for INnoVation, but not a great start for this Terran, who is now down 14 workers. Oh, ouch.
Yeah. Like 10 is, you know, those are the mules, but 14's not where he's really supposed to be. That also took away a lot of his army. Like the Marines died, the Widow Mine died.
Yeah.
Medevac did live at least. That's like one good thing. But you still have the Oracles, and Hurricane should be getting a pretty easy expansion up.
The Cyclone's a funny thing to see. It's really good at pummeling ground forces. Like, you can still take on Adepts and Stalkers and all that, but its new version is not very good versus air at all.
No, it's not. It sucks versus air. It's really only good against, like, especially, like, low numbers. So, I mean, I guess Protoss technically is, like, low numbers, but it is about that air. Like, the Phoenixes are all in the way. And Hurricane is good scouting, too. Like, he saw the army composition. He should get in there and confirm that it is bio. Again, not too many Terrans that we saw from the Korean side are playing mech at all. And, you know, maybe he's not going to bother checking, but I think it's still worthwhile.
Also kind of forgot, but reminded in that small instance, Liberators lost their bonus damage versus light, so really not taking the Oracles or the Phoenixes very hard at all.
No. I mean, this would be such a scary unit composition, and it still kind of is. You know, Liberator sieging up can do significant amounts of damage. The Cyclones still have that micro potential when they're not lifted up, but it is like, I think it actually looked a lot scarier in the recent, the patch before.
So notice the Cyclone actually lived through that a little bit too. It does have 180 health now instead of 120, so a little bit of a buff in that regard. Still a very different unit. Now once it gets close enough to the pylon, once Overcharge wears off, that Cyclone tears through buildings real quick with this auto attack. As we can see, the pylon just melts, but the lift up of the Phoenixes are really good, keeping INnoVation from being unable to fire. The pylon does go down ultimately, but I think that Hurricane should hold. Even with the Cyclones being here, he's cleaned up enough that the Phoenix can, they can lift up what's left. The Widow Mine was certainly annoying, but INnoVation just lost his army for the attack.
Right, yeah, and he saved most of his, like, you know, the Adepts can be remade, especially since the third base wasn't touched, and he's getting up probes over there now. It's you know, he saved his, I think, his entire air army. I lost one Oracle, okay, but still, that's, you know, it's enough Phoenixes to actually make sure that Cyclones, again, don't do any damage. It's enough to make sure that the medevacs don't get away when they have to pick up and leave. This is a good position for Hurricane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the worst part is these Phoenix are very quick to regenerate those shields. They're fast units and hard to catch anyways, and without a bit of luck on INnoVation's side, stopping these won't be so easy. I mean, how these things can even dive through a turret to pick up SCVs. That's where it starts to feel really bad. But he is going for stim, combat shields +1. I mean, the bio play out of INnoVation is, I think, a lot more expected. I mean, I'm still a big fan of seeing mech, and I want mech to work and all that good stuff, but tried, tested, and true for the last year of StarCraft has been bio versus Protoss.
Yeah, and there's no changes to these compositions that would say that it would be any worse. It's the changes to the tank that say that that might be better. So I see bio against what is happening right now. It's not too big of a deal, because the only things, again, that have been changed for the Protoss side is Adepts don't see as far with their shade, which is a nerf. Warp Prism got nerfed, 20 less health, and all the Stargate changes, which probably not going to see in this game.
Oh, this is super annoying. So much work to kill a Phoenix, but loses so much in the process. Second one gets popped off barely by the Widow Mine, but Hurricane being really precise with a lot of his attacks here. INnoVation did scan trying to catch this Observer too. It's really unfortunate that he missed it, because none of that would have happened. All those Widow Mines would have lived had there been no detection for it. Now this is interesting, because he's still making Phoenix behind this, but we don't see him moving towards Colossus.
He did get a robotics base, so I think it might be next on the list, but he's getting the Immortals first, which we've seen in a lot of cases. You go too quickly to Colossus, the Marauders live, and you end up actually pushing through and killing the Colossus. So I don't mind that he's holding off on that.
Thank you, Tom, for the bits. Good to see you once again, friend. I hope you're having a great night. Phoenixes are going down pretty quickly to the Marines. That's perhaps a little bit too quick out of Hurricane to dive on top of that. The Widow Mines as well get fantastic hits on the Adepts, and now Hurricane loses most of his front line.
Did he not see the Widow Mines? Like, why did he do that?
Oh, hello. This Widow Mine from earlier still catches one of the Adepts. Takes the shields off the rest.
Did Hurricane maybe just lose this game?
He may have.
Please no.
I mean, INnoVation can still throw this walking into pylons that are overcharged, but That's certainly well, okay. That Widowmine may have been what seals the deal. We got 2 Colossus at a time coming up, but they might not actually be the answer at this point because there's no way to really deal with those Liberators. With a Phoenix control gone and not nearly enough Stalkers, and none of which that have Blink, I don't know how he's going to deal with the Liberators.
Yeah, the Liberator's doing so much damage. More Widowmines pop off too, and I guess maybe Hurricane pushes this back, but he lost his lead and then some.
The Phoenix Kamikaze kind of worked out there with the Widowmine at the very end. It's so few units out of INnoVation, but it's also so few units out of Hurricane, and these Widowmines keep getting amazing hits. This is like all the bad luck taken out of the game, and INnoVation is just left with only good luck.
INnoVation, I mean, that he did end up being cleaned up, right? And it was an equalizer. It wasn't like INnoVation's like obviously gonna win right now, but Hurricane is like in a really good position. He took an offensive engagement when he had plenty of room to take a wiser, slower engagement with more units. They just waited for a warp in, and he definitely was the one that messed up there. But will it end the game? No. And he does have his Colossus count growing. You know, they didn't die in the last throes of the battle, which I think is the most important thing. Because he gets the 4 Colossus, then INnoVation has to respond to that. And so far, INnoVation, you know, he doesn't already have the response. He's getting the second starport now. And maybe Vikings?
He's also getting a lot of Marauders. We've actually been seeing a lot of instances and highlight clips on Reddit of people just stimming their Marauders and taking care of the Colossus. So, well, it's not a guarantee that Marauders... Like, I really, truly don't believe Marauders are the best answer. They can be all you need versus Colossus in some cases.
Yeah. When there's 4 or 5 Colossus, they should be able to do enough damage, but yeah, sometimes Marauders have too good of an arc and get on top of them too quickly, especially as the Protoss starts adding in more Blink Stalkers as opposed to Adepts. And the Blink Stalkers, of course, go down very quickly to Marauders. But they have to deal with the Vikings.
Just finished up, by the way, so there's going to be some EMPs at some point. The Vikings... Yeah, I think... Let's start going.
The INnoVation probably saw how many Adepts there were. I was afraid that he would go like more into Adepts, but considering that, yes, Hurricane is still adding in Adepts, but also going for Blink Stalkers, I'm not sure that Ghosts are actually on the priority. It's good to have the Ghost Academy in case you do need them, but I think it's more about the Vikings.
So that's what I was going to get into next, right? The Vikings actually have a really interesting role where they're pretty good. Like, normally in TvP, what would happen in the past is you kill all the Colossus with the Vikings, great, but then you've got like 20 or 30 useless supply in Vikings sitting in the sky. If you land them, they're just free giveaway units. Now they deal so much damage to mechanical things. Once they land, they're still a big threat.
Yeah. All the Adepts that were being warped in on that production tab actually went to the Warp Prism. So this army's not very scary, and it's not 4 or 5 Colossus, it's only 3. It's a little surprising he stopped at that, but then adding in Disruptors that aren't quite ready to go yet.
While the Colossus is going down very quickly as the Vikings have nothing to stop them. The Stalkers aren't even shooting them. That's everything getting demolished on the front line. This one Disruptor can't even get an amazing hit even if it wanted to. Gets one Marauder for its trouble. So many Marauders remain. Vikings going to land. GG's get called, and INnoVation will take game number 1.
I think Hurricane's going to be kicking himself for that one.
It really, for me, comes down to that one engagement in the middle of the map. Like, letting the transfer go off on top of the Widow Mines and the Marines. He must not have seen the Widow Mines. Is my own.
Right? Like, that's got to be it. But it seems so bizarre that he wouldn't, because his Phoenixes were kind of doing the whole, like, you know, drooping and jiving around the Liberators. Maybe he had that classic, because we brought this up when it's Cyclone Widow Mine. Maybe he thought the Widow Mine targets were the Cyclone target, the lock-ons, and didn't notice.
Yeah, it's a possibility for certain. Either way, Overgrowth is going to be the next map. Got the lobby going up right now.
So, on the topic of the tournament name, and you're talking about like the double G's and stuff, I'm gonna get like technical Korean here.
Uh-oh.
So the reason they put like double G's is so that you make like a bit like I guess harder of a G sound than like you would in English.
Da 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 da. Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg.
Harder G. Yeah.
D-O double G.
But I feel like no one ever, like, what happens is not like English people are like, oh, I get it, there's 2 G's, so make it a little bit harder. I get you. It's like they do the thing that Rifkin's doing, which is like, so do I like double G? Do I go g-g-g-g?
Oh,
like,
shoot.
What is it?
I can't quit. It's not letting me quit. We didn't get Naruto back in. Okay, real quick. If anyone's watching Take TV's stream, if you could do me a favor and let them know, I just tried very desperately to quit and leave so that the lobby wouldn't continue, but it would click the button. It was highlighted, but it didn't actually leave the lobby. So I wasn't a host. We didn't ditch Take TV on purpose.
Yeah,
fact,
don't blame me.
I'm gonna message him on Skype because I want him to know there wasn't
You lagged out once, gone forever.
Alright, so there we go. Well, hopefully this either goes to game 3 and he gets back in, or he finds another series. But ladies and gentlemen, let's continue on with the match. Bottom left side of Overgrowth. Oh god, this map. It's going to be the Red Protoss. Down 1 game. It's Hurricane.
In the top right has the Blue Terran. He's INnoVation.
So, yeah, the map pool was brought back from the dead. We're reusing a lot of maps that were used in the past. I am not super thrilled about the current map pool, but no one seems to voice any really, truly strong complaints. Not like what we heard with Dawson Station and some of the other ones that were revealed last season.
Well, I would say like the other Dream Pool, because they didn't nickname this the Dream Pool this time, which is probably a good thing.
Last year the Dream Pool really was the Nightmare Pool. They intentionally picked some screwy maps for that.
Yeah, and I guess they kind of... I liked the idea of the Nightmare Pool because they wanted to experiment with smaller maps, you know, and weirder maps, because the expansion might actually have strengths in that, and it didn't. It's still like a lot like Heart of the Swarm when it comes to map making, but I like the idea. But yeah, they definitely reeled back. You know, they had the initial test test ladder pool, and people were like, oh, don't do that one, don't do that one, and they replaced like 2 of them. So that people actually do like the maps here. Personally, I don't mind Overgrowth, I don't mind Daybreak, I hate Van Nuys. That's the only one I hate.
Well, I was just going to mention that it sucks that we've had a lot of different direction with the maps. They've tried doing things with rocks and weird pathways. And quick shout outs to Myamara336 for the resub. But I really wish we'd have this go in the direction. I think my favorite theme for a map is still got to be Detox, where maybe the map itself wasn't the greatest. There was a lot of problems with that map and several of the maps out there, right? But I loved the idea that AVAX had made this map where Defender's advantage wasn't there. It was Aggressor advantage every time a fight came down, you know? Like the Defender was the one fighting uphill, not vice versa. So I wish we would see a theme of maps, like a season of maps where it really did pay favor to those sort of situations.
I think it's gonna be very hard to convince all map makers to do that, and Blizzard in particular map makers to do that, because one of the biggest complaints that people always want to bring up about StarCraft 2 is that aggression and harassment is too good. So
That's true.
We know that Detox worked out fine. I had some very fun games, but when you put it in those ways, they're gonna be like, no, people hate oracles, people hate adepts. No, I come too much.
By the way, Detox, some fun games. I will say, some of the best games we had that season from Tang / our own tournaments came from Detox. So
yeah, I liked it. So.
Oh, I like that grenade out of INnoVation, guaranteed catching the adept. I mean, he knew he was gonna lose the Reaper, but nicely done.
INnoVation didn't end up winning, obviously, that's why he's in the second qualifier here, but the games that we got to cast, he had that whole thing where he was really quite bad the first game, and then he brought it back and was like, oh, that's INnoVation that we know. Maybe that's happening again here, because that one adept led to the second adept, which led to the Oracle. INnoVation was not in a great spot for the first 4 minutes of that game, and then Hurricane kind of messed up, but now he took care of that adept no problem.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up, because it was. I forgot about the whole is INnoVation finally waking up statements I was making. That was, he played a best of 3 against a proxy battlecruiser and a weird Banshee. I don't know if that was enough of a warm up for him, but maybe the game 1 here was. So already playing much better, and of course with 2 Wintermines going out, not just barely 1, he might get some damage. Hurricane not paying attention, loses 4 and starts attacking his own Nexus.
Bad Nexus.
This is Dobby punishing himself, dude. Bad house elf. Bad mothership core.
Yeah, actually. Well, the second Wintermine, it's going to be dropped off probably, and the medevac's going to boost out here, because saving the Wintermine is so... You'd rather almost get the probe kills, basically. Exactly what happens.
A quick reminder, by the way, that this qualifier is single elimination, so there is no secondary bracket to fall back to. There's one more qualifier happening, not tomorrow, but 2 days from now. That'll be the last chance for these guys to qualify through. So a lot of these games are actually kind of important. You can sometimes have a bad game and a bad best of 3 when you have a double elimination bracket come back from the loser's side, but that element's not here for this.
Yeah. I do Yeah. I feel like we did the whole, like, we asked players what they wanted, double elimination or more qualifying days. And then didn't they say more qualifying days?
I don't remember what the exact outcome was. I just remember walking away from that discussion saying nobody knows what they want.
Well, that's true too. I mean, for me, just like looking at it as like if I was a player or just objectively as a caster, I would say that you don't have the super long European double elimination days. That means that the climb from the lower bracket is terrible. And you could have just a bad day in general, which lower bracket wouldn't help that.
That's true.
But a second day would. So
actually,
I would think that more would be better.
That's one of the things I remember a lot of the European players specifically focusing on. Like, sometimes you do just have a terrible day.
Yeah. So I like that there's more days. I mean, that also works better for us because I think...
More content?
You know,
yay!
More content, basically. Like, yeah, an 8-hour day is technically the same content as 2 4-hour days, but it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, it's our old weary bones.
We're old. 2 years ago, it was just like... IMNAEU into Korea? Yeah, we got this.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, man. Oh, that's more like 3 at this point.
It is more like 3, because that like IEMs have not had Korean qualifiers for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Especially the last year with the region lock, but that's a whole nother story. Warp Prism set up outside to drop some adepts at the main. Maybe INnoVation will feel the sting of this because he is moving out with the majority of his army. However, that also means Hurricane might be in some trouble. He's straining out a fair amount of units, plus the utility of a Warp Prism across the map. Not going to have that at home for the defense. And tanks are coming with this. Tanks do 70 damage a shot to things like Immortals now. They're going to go down.
I am so glad we're seeing tanks.
Oh, and he gets pounced on immediately.
Oh, I don't actually know if Hurricane was trying to meet the army before the tanks were siege. It actually just looked like a misclick because he was also attacking with the Warp Prism.
Liberator set up back on the other side of the map between Widow Mines and a couple of SCV deaths. INnoVation's got this. He slaughters everything here at the third. And I forgot about Overgrowth, but you can put your tanks on this ledge to siege up that natural. No need to push through the front.
Yeah, well, yeah, either way, INnoVation's totally got this game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Hurricane just got trounced.
Tanks are actually just like... They're not even like super... I think the bio could win out, actually. But the tanks are just going to really mean he's going to win it.
Even unsiege, they're going to add a lot of extra damage, but siege is going to be the best. Widow Mine's actually going to fire off on the adept, so no more cannon fodder in front of that army. I really wish we'd see like the old tanks back here, but man, oh man.
Liberator's another complicated thing to deal with, especially with the Widow Mines underneath.
Oh, shots going off. Stalkers have to blink away. Nothing can soak that damage. GG's get called, and INnoVation with a very strong and good-looking 2-0.
Nice.
What I really like about this, though, is we're seeing INnoVation play bio. Like, he's one of the players I think a lot of us guessed would jump to mech, like, get on board that mech train, right? But maybe that's just because he was bored back at the end of the old patch.
That was my theory, right? Like, there's nothing to practice for. It was the end of the patch. You're just like, I want to do whatever I want.
Well, good games to be had. We wish INnoVation the best of luck as he continues on in the bracket. He won't have an opponent for a little bit, but with possibly Joxy, Patience, or Mamuri all contenders for him, he might have a really fun next round. I'm not sure what games we're going to get into next, guys, but I will say we're going to be casting as much as we can. Yesterday we got stopped at the round of 8. We will likely get stopped at the round of 8 again and have to give the rest of the games over to the ESL mainstream. But thank you guys for choosing BaseTradeTV. No, it's really appreciated. Stick around and we'll see you in a couple minutes.